I'm sorry. I'm just trying to better understand both sides of this index card. It's I feel like there's more to it. There's got to be more than just two sides of an index card, right? These are the same exact questions we ask when we're dealing with ourself, meaning the human self. My persuasive speech will be on the philosophy of self. My two sources are Philosophy Talk and Stanford University's Encyclopedia of Philosophy. This very singular index card can be a representation of ourselves. So if I take just this side of the index card, and I fold it, and I open it back up, I have two different layers on this side of the index card. Now maybe I want to maybe fold it over this time. I open it back up, I now have four different sides. Well, maybe I want to get fancy with it. Maybe I want to fold the flaps over on this end, and maybe do the same thing on this end. Different sides. And this is just on one side of the index card. What if our self is just like that? What if we have different impressions on one side and just one side alone? What if we have different self-awareness modes, if you will, in our personality? What if? Well, this is a very, very, very highly possibility. See, a lot of philosophers pondered on this for a while. It's Our self is like different impressions in just one person. We have different impressions. So when you're sad, that's a version of yourself. When you're upset, that's another version of yourself. When you're angry, frustrated, happy, excited, all these emotions, monotone, all these emotions, these are different layers that you have, different impressions that is in your body. So it's perfectly fine to embrace all those layers. So the philosophy of self really all it entails is just how many layers can you compress to and then open it back up like a flower and show the world what really you're made of. Who knows? You could be sitting on 16 different layers, 16 different impressions based off you. Who knows? And instead, you're only folding it one time. What if we just went another step further? Oh, what if we open it back up and then we went another step further? Maybe two more steps further. What if we did that? How deep and how much in depth can we get when we're discussing with ourselves, the human self, that is? A lot of people pondered on this, and I did as well for the longest time. But I'm a strong believer that the human self has many layers, and we need to embrace those layers. And another thing, the soul plays a prominent role in the self consciousness that is. See, we forget that the soul is connected to the body. So a lot of people don't know this because the soul is not connected in a sense where whatever the body does, the soul reacts. Not necessarily. It's connected in a way that it moves the body in a position that cannot be explained. It's like what we talked about our past speech, our imagination. You can't see it, but you know it's happening. It's just like that. The soul is, you can't see it, but it's still there. It's something that is occurring. It's like the wind. We can't see the wind, but we know it's there. The air. We can't see the air. We can't see oxygen. We can't see the carbon dioxide we breathe out. We can't see that, but we know it's there. These are different things that play a prominent role in developing the self, that is. And self-awareness is something that we all have the ability to. See, as of right now, you are self-aware that you're watching this speech and you're listening, you're observing. You're self-aware that you're attentive. You're not dozing off. Well, at least I hope you're not dozing off. But you're not dozing off intentionally to this speech right here. You're self-aware. I'm self-aware that I'm delivering this speech referring to self-awareness. I'm self-aware of that topic. It's like you're self-aware if you go outside and it's raining and you run back inside to grab your jacket and an umbrella and you go back outside. You're self-aware. That's self-awareness. Self-consciousness, same thing. I have self-consciousness that if I walk out on the road in New York, in the middle of New York City, and a whole bunch of traffic is coming, self-consciousness is going to tell me and take a step back, wait till the light turns green, or wait till there's no cars coming. That's an example of self-consciousness. A lot of times we forget that we have different layers. And as I crumble this piece of paper on accident, I am missing the point that self-awareness and different layers and different impressions that you have on your body can be used. But How do we identify these things? I will share that with you today. How you identify it is you take it step by step. You don't start off by folding and finding different impressions. You don't start off by finding 16 impressions in your body. That's not. You start off by finding one simple impression. What layer do you have? If you're always happy, maybe you need to find out what makes you sad. Not necessarily intentionally, but maybe something, because things happen to everybody. Everyone knows this. If you're always happy, this is the happy side. But you rarely get sad. And then you need to identify when you get sad, what that feels like, and when you need to avoid it, and when you know it's coming up and it's occurring. This is the happy side. You fold it. You now flowered up, if you will. You blossomed, and this is your sad side. You know that you now have different layers, different impressions. It doesn't mean one is better than the other, or one's worse than the other. It just means you have a different layer. When we cry, when we show sorrow and sadness and mourn for people and certain things that might happen in people's lives, that's not something necessarily that means a weakness. It just means you have a different layer. That's perfect. That's human. That means you've identified different layers of yourself. Happy, sad, maybe you're angry. Then you have frustrated, upset, excited, something hopeful, things of that nature, pessimistic, whatever the case may be. You have these layers that you have these layers that you can identify. No one's stopping you to identify it. So it's important that we tap into those things, knock on those doors that haven't been opened yet, and seek out different layers within thyself. And that's just the self. That's just the personality portion of it. That's not even tapping into the soul portion of it. The soul portion of this really is going to take some type of meditation. No matter what your religion is, no matter what your beliefs are, whatever the case may be, it's going to take some type of meditation, some type of discipline, some type of self-awareness, self-consciousness to identify what it takes to let the soul blossom, if you will. You shouldn't just be a zombie. You shouldn't just be body and no soul. Your soul should be moving through you. And this is not religious talk. This is just being straight up factual and real. The soul really helps dictate your everyday life. And if you do that, you'll be able to tap in and open some doors you really never thought would open. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. That was my persuasive speech, the philosophy of self, if you will. I hope you all enjoyed it, and as I did as well.